Let me ask you a question. How devastating is a lie? Has your husband ever lied to you? How did you feel? Did you forgive him? Well, then why did your heart still hurt? And why do you still feel angry? Well, forgiveness and trust are not the same thing. Forgiveness is a gift you offer someone who has wronged you, but trust is not a gift that can be handed right back. It builds over time. So have you ever asked yourself the question, will I ever be able to trust my husband again? It's a great question and a heartbreaking one, and one I had to ask. You see, trust is hard-earned and easily lost. Let's picture trust like a bank account. Every day you put small deposits of pennies, nickels, and dimes, maybe even a whole dollar, into your bank account every time you demonstrate your trustworthiness. Slowly, the balance grows and even accrues a small amount of interest. But one day, your husband makes a major withdrawal. Through a lie, through looking at pornography, cheating on you, breaking a promise, or fill in the blank. Though he apologizes for the breach of trust and asks for forgiveness and changes his behavior, the bank account balance remains lower than it was. That withdrawal depleted the built-up balance. But what happens when the trust account is empty, completely wiped out, or maybe even overdrawn? Is it possible to rebuild? Yes, it is possible, but it will take time. And this is where my husband and I found ourselves. It takes changed behavior, concerted effort, and intentionality. Broken trust is not easily restored. You know, when my husband revealed his pornography addiction, he shattered my trust. In my opinion, he took every cent in that account and he just flushed it down the toilet. And you know, from that time on, everything that he said or did became suspect in my mind. How could I know he was telling me the truth? And why would I ever believe a word he said? And what else has he lied about? I even wondered if he'd ever told me the truth in our entire married life. I scrutinized every action, every word, not intentionally, but from a gut reaction to his betrayal. I thought my entire married life was a lie. Did I really know this man I'd married? I thought I did, but the deep wound in my heart doubted everything. I wasn't even sure I wanted to be around him anymore. You know, when we sought help from others through accountability, coaching, and counseling, it was through that I made the choice to forgive them. And as we began the road of recovery, it wasn't pretty, simple, or within stumbles. And sometimes it even got worse before we saw signs of health. It felt like we deposited a few pennies, but withdrew $1. But then it got better, little by little. And then what we learned about making healthy deposits is what we still practice today. So more than 10 years after his betrayal, and 10 years after I thought our marriage was over, is it possible to learn to trust someone who's betrayed you? And there's a few things that I've discovered that I wanted to share with you today. First of all, you choose to accept their words, but you seek proof for their actions. You and I know that words are cheap. We hear an average of 20 to 30,000 words a day, and we speak at least 7,000. But of the words that we speak, how many of them bring life, change life, or have even any lasting value? When it comes to making trust bank deposits, telling the truth in all cases is important, but those words must be backed up by actions. Imagine this. Your husband swears he's not looking at porn anymore. Well, one day you're online paying some bills and you notice some weird web address in your browser history. You go check it out and it's a porn site. It's a giant withdrawal from your trust account. You know, one of the things that my husband did after he started his porn recovery was he liked to spend time playing video games on his laptop. But when he was in recovery and in an effort to prove to me through his actions that he wasn't looking at porn, he would not play a video game unless he was sitting with me or unless I was right there watching what he was doing. One evening, he was sitting on the couch looking at his laptop, and that old icky doubt feeling crept over me. And I asked him what he was doing, and gotta admit, it was kind of that, mommy tone, not the tone that you would use with your husband. And he showed me the email he was reading from a friend. And then, without me even asking, he opened up his internet history to show me the last 7 days of activity. That makes a huge deposit in the trust account. And I thanked him for it. The second thing that we did was to install internet monitoring software on all internet-enabled devices, yours, his, and your children's. Well, initially, this might feel like an unnecessary burden, but the resulting peace of mind you experience is worth it. We use CovenantEyes.com, and I recommend this tracking software because it sends a weekly report to you and your accountability partners. It builds trust because it reinforces with action his commitment to leave the addiction behind. When the weekly report comes in, we actually review it together so we can celebrate the victories and address any stumbles without fail. Now, I have to tell you a funny story. With all the research and the study that I've been doing on porn addiction recovery, I tend to trigger my husband's report. And the agreement that we've made when the guys reach out to him, and actually now even before they reach out, is I send them an email and say, hey guys, here's what I was doing. Dave was not looking at anything. It was me. And it's created a point of laughter between us because he's like, I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty. But I'm the one who's triggering his report. So why would you put something like Covenant Eyes or maybe Net Nanny or something else like that on your children's devices? Because research tells us that children are exposed to pornography before they even start middle school. Explain to your children that a danger exists online and it needs to be avoided, and this software that you're installing there helps them stay safe. If your child can access the internet, they can get into trouble just as easily as your addicted spouse. And believe me, the porn industry would love nothing more than to have another addict and get them while you're young. And if your child knows others can see what they're looking at and searching for, it also creates a layer of protection for them when they're, even when their friends are around. It kind of gives them, that out, like, I used to tell my kids, hey, if you need to use me as the excuse why you can't do something, then use me. It's fine. This software gives them that out. They can tell their friends, I'm not doing that because I don't want to get caught. This transparency creates deposits in your trust account. The third thing we've done is we grant access to all internet accounts. This builds our trust because I can see his email, he can see my email. Every internet-enabled device sees all email accounts for both of us. And beyond that, we have the passwords to all social media network sites, online storage accounts, and any other areas where secrets might be hidden. Removing the possibility of hiding something also builds your trust. Well, one day, as an example of this, while my husband was clearing out his email, he called me over and he wanted me to see something before he deleted it. It was a raunching, fishy email that had somehow made it through our filtering software to his inbox. Though he only saw, that little preview you can see of email, and he didn't open it, in full transparency, he wanted me to see it and watch his actions. Again, he made another deposit in his trust account. The fourth thing that we did as part of our recovery was to create an accountability group. Let me ask you a question. Would football players play the game without anyone on the sidelines or in the stands? Well, they might, but it's much more fun when someone is rooting for you and seeing the success of your efforts. For that and other reasons, I love that my husband has a group of men that hold him accountable. And the key to this successful accountability group is men who care about your husband enough to speak the truth and hold him responsible for his actions. You don't want men in this group that he can snow or who will just be a friend and say, that's okay. No, you want men who are strong enough to look him in the eye and say, what were you doing and why? This group receives his weekly online software report, and if they see anything questionable, they contact him to discuss, like I told you earlier, and they want to know why. They want to know what happened, and is there something that they can help him with to make corrections. My husband's group also prays for him. They meet regularly with him, either in person or they talk to him on the phone or text message. And they are very concerned that he no longer gets trapped in that porn addiction. Well, how does something like this create trust account deposits for me? Well, my husband and I agreed on who was part of this group because I needed to trust them as well. I also know that I can ask any member of this group if my husband is complying with the agreed upon habits and actions. Now, I suggest you don't demand details, but just accept their answers. After all, you've agreed that you trust these men. This group also gives a wounded wife an added layer of peace and protection. You know these men desire your husband's full recovery from his addiction and his holistic health. You should not be your husband's accountability partner. You need others to function in this role, and so does your husband. The fifth thing is to start regular date nights. I know you've heard this before, but a date night is valuable to your marriage. It has even more value for a marriage that is wounded or struggling, and that's usually when date nights just kind of fall off the radar. You don't want to go out with this person because you're mad at them. I get it. Been there. You know, after my ankle surgery, every nerve in my body was screaming, don't move, it hurts. But to begin healing, I needed to work that part of my body so it didn't atrophy and to make it stronger. I had to go to the source of the pain and to make a long-term choice for healing that didn't always feel great. But a year later, I'm really glad I made that difficult choice. Date nights are your marriage strengthening exercises. During these date nights, agree that certain subjects are off limits: work, children, and finances. Your goal is to rebuild your relationship, to learn to communicate in a new way, to smile at each other, and to practice authenticity. It's also a good time to swap your smartphones and allow each other to view all activity on your phones. Then put those phones away, turn them off. This establishes a healthy boundary for your relationship because you focus on each other, not on the phone. Commit to open, honest, no question off limits, conversation. You can choose places where you feel secluded enough to have this type of conversation. When we began this practice in our recovery, gratefully our kids were in college, so we could stay at home if we wanted, but you can find other locations like we did. Be creative. Explore new venues or activities you both enjoy as long as they allow for conversation. Use this time to make large deposits in your trust account. Building trust takes time and intentional effort through one decision, one word, action at a time. And with each healthy deposit, decision, and action, you can learn to trust your husband again. And your husband learns to trust you. Maybe not immediately, but as you both commit to purity and authenticity in your marriage, you will replace the awful pain, the awful wound with trust. You know, my husband and I continue to work every day at building our trust accounts with each other. And we found new freedom and joy because we do this hard work. We've also learned that it's healthy to disagree and even argue about something because that's authentic. There is no way that he and I are going to agree on everything or even interpret different situations the same. Honest communication isn't fake smiles and no disagreement. It's real emotions and the safety to talk about what's really going on. And that's what I desire for you as well. You know, I wondered why God allowed this horrible pain in my life, but I don't wonder anymore. I believe God allowed this pain to draw me closer to Him, first of all, to heal my marriage and to care for other women whose husbands are addicted to pornography. Research shows us that online porn viewing rates are just as high in men who attend church as those who don't. And TechCrunch reports online porn viewing increases infidelity in marriages by 300%. That was shocking, but I'm not shocked by it anymore. I know there's a battle for our husbands' hearts, and it's destroying marriages. I help wounded women heal from this horrible pain, just like I received help. I offer free resources, a tender heart, and one-on-one help through my short-term aftershock recovery coaching. You deserve to heal, whether he decides to change or not. You don't have to live with that pain. I can help. If you need some of those free resources, please hop over to my website at KirstenDSamuel.com. That's KIRSTEN, D as in Diane, Samuel, SAMUEL.com. There's a free ebook there on the front page. And if you really would like to talk to someone who can understand the wound that's in your heart and why your heart still aches, please click that free consultation button and set up a 30 to 45-minute time to chat together. I'd love to hear your story. I'd love the opportunity to encourage you. You can overcome, but it's your choice. Until next time.